Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Flower Friday. Today we are going to be making a black-eyed Susan. These are super easy to make. I cut mine out with my silhouette, and I'll put the link below for the download that I used for that. But you can use your Cricut. Several of the Cricut cartridges have a daisy flower on them. I'll list them below, but I'll say them here too, just so you know if you've got them. Accent Essentials has a daisy. Daisy Chain, Designer Calendar, and Storybook all have a daisy cutout on them. So whether you have a silhouette or you have a Cricut, you can do this flower. And even if you don't have either one, several of the punches you can make look like a daisy flower, especially one that looks kind of like this, but in a bigger format. This is a very small one here, right here, but you can use that to make a daisy flower if you wanted to use a smaller one. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to need is you're going to need 2 of your flower cutouts. Mine are at a little over 3 inches a piece. And I didn't do anything to them. I just kept them at the size that Silhouette had them. So you don't necessarily have to make any adjustments, but I wanted a bigger flower. If you want a smaller flower, then, definitely move it down just a little bit, but you can make them in any size you want. So what I've done here is I've got 2 of the flower cutouts. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to give them a little dimension by adding some color, and I'm going to use Vintage Photo, and I'm just going to go around the outside of the leaves. I just want to give them just a little touch of brown on the outside. Okay, and I'll do that again here, and that's my phone. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. My husband knows exactly when I'm doing a video, and he calls like every time. It's so funny. Okay, so again, I'm just putting a little bit of color here on the outside of the petal. I'm going to leave the inside of the petal the same color yellow. Now you can make these flowers in any color. This is just the traditional black-eyed Susan. I know that there's another flower that has the exact same shape and has the same, center of the flower as a black-eyed Susan, but it's pink. But I'm not really sure what it's called, and I'm sure some of you guys are going to know, and I'd love to know because I will probably be making some of the pink ones because I like pink and I think that they're pretty. So. And I like, we have a lot of black-eyed Susans here in the summer. You can go past, and it's almost like they're a weed. I'm sure they're not, but they just keep coming back every year. They must reseed themselves. So, and I think that they look really pretty when they're out in a field and they're swaying in the wind. And I like it the most because the flower kind of turns up toward the sun. So they're really pretty. I mean, the one that I've made, I've just kind of flipped the petals up and squished the middle down. But in real life, when you look at a black-eyed Susan, most of the time the petals are all the way down. They're kind of facing down toward the sun, especially in the morning. And then as the night comes, the petals kind of flip up a little bit. Okay, so now I've got my 2 petals and I've got them colored like I want. Now, I need a center for this flower, and typically the centers on a black-eyed Susan are round and fuzzy. So if you have any of those little pom-poms that are fuzzy and they're in brown, they would make an excellent center to these flowers. Now, I don't have any of those on hand, but if I did, they would be the center for this flower because they're almost identical. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a punch, the one that I used last week, and it's this center, or this petal right here that I'm going to use, and I'm going to cut 3 of those out. So and use your scraps if you can. I actually took out a full piece of brown before I even thought about it, and then I thought, you know what, before I do that, I'm going to make sure I don't have a piece of brown cardstock in my scrap bin. And lo and behold, there was half a piece of brown in there, so definitely use up your scraps first. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut out my petals here. And I'm trying to get all 3 out of this one, but I might not be able to. Maybe. I think I can. That's awesome. Okay. So I've got all 3 of my little brown petals cut out. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper piercer and I'm going to use the flat end and I'm just going to turn all the petals down. Okay, and then just kind of push them in so they hold their shape a little bit. And I'm going to do that with all 3 of them because I'm trying to make a cup shape here because I want all of these petals to be sticking up to be as close as possible to the actual real thing. Okay. All right, now I'm going to take my hot glue. You can definitely use quick dry adhesive here if you want. Hot glue does kind of get a little messy because it is such a small surface, but my gun has a fine tip nozzle, so I'm going to go ahead and use my hot glue. If your gun doesn't have a fine tip nozzle, then it's probably easier on this particular one to use quick dry. And I'm just going to make sure that holds its shape. And I'm going to put another little dollop in here. And I'm going to put that last one in. And try and offset the petals as much as you can. I know with the littler flowers, it's hard to offset the petals. So do the best you can. All right, now for the actual flower, how are you going to shape these petals? For me, you can do these any way you want, but for me, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper piercer, and it's like you're curling ribbon, and I'm just going to curl these petals under. Really easy. Okay, and do the same with the next one. Okay, now in order for these to kind of lay like this, you have to push down the centers. So I'm going to take my mouse pad and I'm going to put these on top of my mouse pad, and I'm going to use my embossing tool. You can use your Fiskars one, but these ones have fine points. I wanted one that had like a bigger point that was rounder and less forceful for these because the centers are much larger on these flowers. So I'm just going to go and I'm just going to roll it around in the center and see how that picked that flower up so it's kind of got a little more dimension. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Okay, and then all you have to do is glue them together and make sure that you offset the petals. So I'm going to stick some hot glue there. Offset the petal, okay, and then I'm going to put my center in. And let me make sure that I get this right in the center. Okay. Now, typically on a Black-Eyed Susan, there is nothing in the center of your center. I know a lot of people who make flowers like to put pearls and things like that in there. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for some gold stickles, and I'm going to use that, I think. We'll see how it comes out. I don't think I have any brown stickles. If you had brown stickles, go ahead and use brown. But I don't have any brown, so I'm going to try gold and see how that works out. And you don't have to use glitter if you don't want to. I like shiny stuff. So, you know, I'm just going to put a little bit of gold right there in the center. And then when that dries, it'll look like it's got just a little bit of sparkle in the middle. And I think that comes out really pretty. Let me do that on this one too. Just something additional to the center. You know, typically, like if you're using those little pom-poms for the middle, definitely you don't have to do anything because, you know, that center is solid. Mine's not solid, so I wanted to do a little bit there in the middle. So there you go, Flower Friday. It's a Black-Eyed Susan. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If you did like the flower that I created today, please thumbs up for the video, and we'll see you next week. Have a great day. Bye-bye.